and welcome to That's Entertainment, the weekly entertainment show where we look at all the interesting news from last week, this week. Kicking off with some VOD news. According to a news forecast from Lightshed Partners, SVOD subscribers will nearly double from roughly 650 million people worldwide by the end of 2020 to 1.25 billion at the end of 2024. Lightshed's predictions do exclude Apple TV Plus viewers and treat all Amazon Prime subscribers as Prime Video users. But as the report Observer pointed out, 3 million US paid TV customers opted out of the traditional bundle in 2018, followed by 6 million in 2019 and 6.6 million last year. By 2024, an estimated 46.6 million US households will have cut the cord. The reality is clear. The crowded SVOD field has only expedited the exodus away from pay TV rather than cannibalize one another. The truth is that streaming has far greater impact on linear television and theatrical windows than it does on fellow streamers. What we don't know is which, if any, of the studio-owned streaming services will fail or remain fully independent. However, it's interesting to note that Nordic families seem to prefer Disney Plus to Netflix. According to a report from Broadband TV News, the Stockholm-based consultancy MediaVision found it took Disney Plus just 2 weeks to attract 450,000 subscribers, a number that it took Netflix more than a year to reach. And even though Netflix actually has the largest market share of the kids' content library, the share of kids' content is higher for Disney Plus, and it's hard to imagine Netflix being able to truly compete with the familiar movie franchises and archived TV content of Disney. Netflix made a very good play several years ago. They focused primarily on having a good batch of kids' content. Why did they do that? Well, if you look at the family subscriptions, it makes it much harder to tune out of something if your kids are actively involved in the subscription as well. So it was a very, very smart move to both do adult content and kids' content at the same time. I think the kids' content led to Netflix wider adoption because essentially, who cannot be forgiven for sticking their infants in front of a TV screen or a YouTube channel to keep them occupied while you're doing something else, particularly during the pandemic. There was good news this week from Torrent Freak, Piracy website tracking tool. Revenue generated by pirate site operators in Russia is down for the third successive year. According to the report, they have lost the advertising profits and found themselves in competition for views with legal online streaming platforms, which were able to increase their audience during the pandemic. Citing research carried out by a TMT Consulting, Group IB says that during the height of the coronavirus pandemic in 2020, the number of people using legal streaming services reached 63 million viewers, an increase of 17% over the previous year. And this led to the legal streaming services generating revenues of somewhere in the region of $365 million. However, according to the report, the Russian piracy market is still worth around $59 million, even if it was down from its high in 2018 of $87 million. The latest report from the leading piracy analyst firm Muso looks at this year's Academy Award-nominated titles and paints a worrying picture. With cinemas around the globe closed for much of the last 12 months, a significant number of this year's Oscar contenders have yet to be released in various key territories. And as Muso pointed out, when a title is not available in a country or region, the audience will find it via piracy because piracy is often driven by access, which is evident in social media commentary. This latest tweet clearly signifies that from what we're seeing here. Muso have also looked back at the spike in piracy around the movie Parasite, which won multiple Oscars last year, and they have a worrying prediction for this year. It is hard to place a monetary loss on piracy because of the many variables associated with each release. But assuming Promising Young Woman or other nominated titles that are not widely available follows a similar trajectory to Parasite, then we might expect something in the region of 25 to 30 million downloads and streams for these titles. At a $10 to $20 ticket or VOD price, this is a lot of lost revenue due to the windowing decision. But that Twitter post that Muso picked up on might have some positive indicators too, as Maria Ruaguete, Senior Director of Media and Entertainment at Omdia, pointed out this week. According to our latest consumer survey, people who pirated content are also the ones with the highest entertainment spend and go to the cinema twice as much as those who do not pirate content. One of the most common reasons why these consumers turn to piracy backs up users' findings. They cannot find the title via legal methods. What's more worrying for the industry is the other common reason: they've already reached a threshold in their monthly subscription spends. And that's surely a major concern at a time when major new streaming services are launching around the globe, all of them competing with the same monthly subscribers and their cash. Well, this goes back to the old comments that we've been making with the tolerance and the amount of, how big is your wallet for how many subscriptions are you willing to take. I think that's a very valid concern. And as we start to see the market saturate, we'll probably start to see a rise in piracy as well. And these figures do seem to be backed up because of the nature of the good quality releases that we saw coming out of the one or two major movies that did make it into cinemas over the last few months. AMC's Josh Sapin may have one solution to that problem, though. In an interview with Hollywood Reporter, he spoke out about their decision to focus on niche, more focused streaming services. He likened AMC's approach to owning a series of specialty boutiques rather than the streaming equivalent of a department store. AMC's targeted platforms include horror-focused Shudder, art house-focused Sundance Now, British content-focused Acorn TV, and black content-focused All BLK. US subscribers have exceeded 6 million and are expected to continue growing, according to Sapin. Some of the AMC's streaming services are already profitable. Acorn has among the lowest churn of any US streaming service. The streaming will be the firm's largest revenue segment by 2025, and with its focus on passionate niche audiences, AMC believes it's well positioned for what analysts expect to be a culling of streaming services in the next few years as households' total subscription costs increase. It's another busy week for production deals at Netflix. The world's biggest streaming platform will produce 2 sequels to the box office hit Knives Out, with writer-director Rian Johnson and leading man Daniel Craig set to return. According to a report in Deadline, it's one of the biggest streaming movie deals in history, and it's worth more than $400 million. Jamie Foxx will star as the modern-day vampire hunter in the movie Day Shift. The Nun director Corin Hardy will be behind the camera for a horror film, Every House is Haunted. The To All the Boys rom-com franchise is to continue. The 3 Netflix movies will be followed by a TV series spin-off. Filmmaker Peter Berg has signed a first-look deal with the platform. And exactly a year after opening its Paris office, the streamer announced plans for 27 French films, series, and documentaries. And at the other major streamers, Moonlight, Oscar-winning director Barry Jenkins has moved his TV deal from Amazon to HBO Max. The late 80s and 90s sitcom Head of the Class is the latest TV show now getting rebooted, with Isabel Gomez starring in the new HBO Max series Westworld. Showrunners Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy are adapting another mysterious sci-fi tale, this time for Amazon, The Peripheral, from cyberpunk author William Gibson. Well, cyberpunk is a massively undertapped IP, as we've just seen with the launch of the game, but this is a world that we are very much looking forward to at Groovy being explored further through TV shows. Former Buffy the Vampire Slayer Sarah Michelle Gellar will star in the YA plot Hot Pink for Amazon. And Apple have announced plans for the latest prestige series. Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks are to produce Band of Brothers sequel Masters of the Air, which will tell the story of the American bomber crews of World War II. That's all for this week. Thanks very much for enjoying the show. Please like, subscribe, and comment in the sections below. Remember, we post both to LinkedIn and to YouTube. Goodbye.